Namaskar friends. In 2026, India holds the BRICS gavel at a time when tariffs, sanctions and technology have become weapons of geopolitics. And here's the truth. BRICS can either become a photo op club or India can turn it into a delivery machine. Today I'm going to break down India's BRICS Presidency 2026 agenda item by item. What India should push, what other countries will push back on, and how India protects its interests without losing strategic autonomy. And please stay till the end because I'll give you three must deliver outcomes India should walk away with by the 2026 BRICS summit. Not slogans, real deliverables. Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Diplomat's Desk. I am your host, Meet Shah. Now, in 2025, BRICS was chaired by Brazil under the motto Strengthening Global South Cooperation for More Inclusive and Sustainable Governance, with focus areas like global health, climate, trade finance, AI governance, peace security reform, and institutional development. In July 2025, BRICS leaders met in Rio and adopted the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, welcomed Indonesia as a member, and listed multiple partner countries, a big step in expanded BRICS. Then in December 2025, Brazil formally handed over the BRICS gavel to India at the Sherpas meeting, and India's priorities were presented around four pillars: resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability, guided by continuity, consolidation, and consensus. And PM Modi clearly framed India's approach, a people-centric, humanity-first presidency redefining BRICS as a building resilience and innovation for cooperation and sustainability. So the shift is simple. Brazil 2025 build frameworks, India 2026 equals to implement and deliver. Now let's go agenda item by item. Agenda first, make expanded BRICS actually work. First, a key term, institutional development. In diplomacy, that means rules, procedures, working methods, basically how the club runs so it doesn't collapse under its own size. BRICS is expanding not just with members but also partner countries, and the Rio Declaration itself admits that growing membership and a growing agenda require updates to working methods, including updating BRICS terms of reference and building a common BRICS database. India's interest, India benefits when BRICS stays consensus based and practical, not hijacked into ideological fights that don't serve Indian growth. Now, let's talk about the impact on other countries. Some countries may want BRICS to look like an anti-West bloc that can trigger retaliation in trade and technology flows, and India cannot afford that. Others may want BRICS to become a China-led platform. India must prevent that because multipolarity means no single pole dominates. India's action plan is push a BRIC efficiency charter, shorter declarations, fewer vanity initiatives, more measurable targets, create a big BRICS delivery dashboard, what was promised, what shipped, and what failed. Build the common BRICS database so the system does not depend on personalities or rotating memory. Now, if India wins this item, everything else becomes easier. If India loses this item, BRICS becomes a noise. Agenda 2, global governance reform, but with India's priorities at the center. Let's define another term, which is global governance. It means the rules and institution that manages global problems like the United Nations, IMF, World Bank, WTO. The problem, many of these bodies reflect the 20th century, not the realities of today. At the 2025 summit and again in official BRICS statement, there is a strong language on reforming the UN system, including the UN Security Council, and also reforming the Bretton Woods institutions, IMF and World Bank, to better represent emerging and developing economies. Also, China and Russia reiterated support for India and Brazil playing a greater role in the UN, including the Security Council, that is politically valuable for India. Now, India wants a reformed system where decision making reflects real economic weight and global south priorities are not treated as a charity. Impact of other countries on this is China and Russia want reform, but often in ways that protect their veto advantages. Western powers often talk reform slowly because the current systems benefits them. So India must push reform without waiting for permission, but also without burning bridges. Now, India's action plan in 2026 would be use BRICS to coordinate a single reform position at UNGA, IMF quota talks, and WTO dispute settlement revival. Keep India's UNSC aspiration tied to a broader package like Africa plus India plus Brazil. Representation is because legitimacy matters. Reform doesn't happen because you ask nicely. It happens when you build coalitions. Agenda item 3. Stop weaponized trade, tariff barriers, and climate protectionism. Two terms to simplify here: protectionism. When countries block imports to protect domestic industry, like CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, a carbon related import charge some countries propose or implement, which can become a trade barrier disguised as a climate policy. BRICS has explicitly raised concerns about unilateral tariff and non tariff measures, and BRICS ministers have opposed unilateral and discriminatory CBAM type measures, deforestation rules, and due diligence requirements, and that is used as trade weapons. Now, India is a manufacturing and export growth story. If the world fragments into a tariff walls, India's exports get hit. Steel, chemicals, textiles, engineering goods, even IT services indirectly. So impact of other countries would be: the West may tighten trade and climate-linked restrictions. China may try to flood markets when demand weakens, hurting Indian industry. New BRICS members have different trade structures. Aligning them is not automatic. India's action plan in this agenda would be: push a BRICS fair trade and climate positions. Climate action, yes, but not disguised protectionism. Strengthen WTO dispute settlement, revival messaging, because rules protect mid powers like India. Promote intra-BRICS standard cooperation so Indian exporters are not trapped in multiple compliance regimes. This is where BRICS can directly protect Indian jobs, not in speeches but in market access. Now, agenda item 4: NDB 2.0, turn the BRICS Bank into India's development lever. Now, key term here is development finance. It means long-term funding for infrastructure like power, transport, digital, water, usually where private markets don't fund cheaply. PM Modi clearly highlighted the new development bank as a credible alternative for global south development and stressed demand-driven, sustainable project financing and strong internal systems. The 2025 BRICS track also focused on reforming the international financial systems, and Brazil emphasized local currencies and payments instruments. India's interest here is cheaper capital for infrastructure financing that respects sovereignty and avoids political conditionalities, and a buffer when global liquidity tightens. Impact of other countries here is: countries under sanctions pressure will want NDB to become a sanctions bypass tool that can endanger NDB's credit rating and raise costs for everyone, including India. Others may want NDB lending to follow their geopolitical priorities. Now, so India's action plan in 2026 would be: push NDB credit rating protection doctrine, expand lending, yes, but without reckless politicization. Prioritize NDB funding for logistic corridors, clean energy grids, disaster resilient infrastructures, things aligned to India's growth. Build a BRICS pipeline that benefits partner countries too, so India leads by delivery. A bank is power when it funds what you need, when you need it. Now, agenda item 5 would be cross-border payments and local currency trade de-risk without drama. Important term here is local currency settlement. Instead of paying for trade only in dollars, countries use their own currencies like rupee, real, ruble, etc. This can reduce exchange cost and vulnerability. Brazil's BRIC concept not explicitly included local currencies and payment platforms to increase trade and investment flows. And the Rio Declaration condemned unilateral sanctions and secondary sanctions, meaning sanctions that punish third parties for doing business with a targeted country. India's interest here is lower transaction costs, better resilience, but also avoid financial instability and keep investors' confidence. Impact of other countries would be: some players want aggressive de-dollarization headlines that can invite backlash. The US and EU will watch for sanction invasion behaviors. India cannot risk secondary sanctions exposure. India's action plan in 2026 would be: promote pragmatic payment pilots, not grand currency fantasies. Focus on trade settlement in select corridors where it makes economic sense. Keep it framed as risk management and efficiency, not ideological warfare. The smartest diplomacy is not loud diplomacy, it's resilient diplomacy. Agenda item 6: critical minerals and tech supply chains. Stop resource weaponization. So here key term is critical mineral. These are the inputs like lithium, cobalt, rare earths, nickel, essential for EVs, batteries, electronics, defense, and renewable energy. PM Modi made a sharp point. BRICS should ensure supply chains for critical minerals and technology are secure and reliable, and no country should use this as a resource as a weapon for selfish gain. India's interest here is: if India wants manufacturing leadership, semiconductor growth, clean energy scale up, India must secure inputs, no shortcuts. Impact of other countries here is: Countries that dominate parts of this supply chain gains geopolitical advantage. Trade controls, export restrictions, and technology blockades can slow India's growth. India's action plan for this agenda is launch a BRICS critical minerals and supply chain resilience working group, build joint standards on transparency, pricing, and long-term offtake contracts, encourage diversified sourcing and responsible processing, including in India, so we move up the value chain. In 21st century, minerals are the new oil and chips are the new railways. Agenda item 7, AI governance and digital public infrastructures, India's AI for all model. Now let's define AI governance. It's the rules around how AI is built, used, regulated, privacy, bias, safely, accountability. PM Modi's position is balanced. AI should uplift human potential, but we must address risks like ethics and bias and develop standards to verify authenticity of digital content to prevent any misuse. The Rio Declaration highlights the adoption of a leader's statement on the global governance of AI, and the BRICS hand over notes continuing cooperation of equitable AI and sharing scientific knowledge. India's interest here is India can lead with a practical model, innovations plus inclusion, not AI for elites, but AI for farmers, health, education, and governance. Impact of other countries here would be some countries push for tight control and surveillance driven AI, others push for corporate dominance and rule making without the global south. India's action plan would be propose the BRICS digital trust frameworks, deepfake authentication, provenance standards, anti-fraud coordination, create BRICS collaboration on public good AI, language tech, healthcare triage, climate forecasting. Link this to India's broader tech diplomacy in 2026, India's positioning major summits as foreign policy tools. This is where India can set rules instead of being forced to follow rules written elsewhere. Agenda item 8, climate finance plus disaster resilience, climate justice with delivery. So here the key term is climate finance. It's money for mitigation and adaptation, especially for developing countries that did not cause most historical emissions but face the worst impacts. PM Modi emphasized climate justice, technology transfers and affordable financing, and welcomed the BRICS framework declaration on climate finance as a positive step. The Rio Declaration also commits to strengthening disaster risk reductions, early warning systems, resilient infrastructures, and working plan for 2025 to 2028. India's interest here is India wants growth, but green growth without being punished by double standards. Impact of other countries here is developed countries sometimes promise finance slowly but enforce compliance quickly. Some countries use climate as a trade weapon, which BRICS has opposed. India's action plan in this agenda would be turn the BRICS climate finance framework into an implementation roadmap who funds what, timelines and instruments, scale disaster resilience cooperation, early warning tech, resilient infrastructure financing, showcase India's initiatives, Mission Life, ISA, CDRI as models other BRICS and partners countries can adopt. Climate is not a conference topic for India, it's a survival and development topic. Agenda item 9, global health plus socially determined diseases, the humanity first proof. Key term here is socially determined diseases. These are diseases driven by conditions like poverty, sanitation, nutrition, housing, access to care, meaning the root cause are social and economic, not just medical. The Rio Declaration notes launching the BRICS partnership for the elimination of socially determined diseases, and PM Modi referenced this as a new inspiration for a stronger collaboration. India's interest is India is a pharmacy and vaccine powerhouse and also building digital health at a scale. India benefits when global health systems are stronger. Pandemic don't respect borders. Now, impact of other countries on this agenda, vaccine nationalism is always a risk in crisis. Some systems treat health as a geopolitical competition rather than cooperation. India's action plan would be moved from declarations to health delivery pilots, TB, antimicrobial resistance, maternal health, digital health interoperability. Position India's scalable models, insurance coverage, telemedicine, traditional medicine research as options for global south partners. If humanity first is real, health is where India must prove it. Agenda item 10, peace, security and counter-terrorism, zero double standards. Here, key term is double standards in counter-terrorism. It means condemning terrorism in words but tolerating it in practice when it suits geopolitical interest. At the 2025 summit, India pushed strongly on terrorism. The MEA noted PM Modi called terrorism a grave threat, demanded action against those who fund or provide safe havens, and emphasized no double standards. The Rio Declaration also contains strong language on reforming multilateral peace and security architecture, and BRICS ministers reiterated pushing UN peacebuilding reviews and UNSC reform. India's interest would be this is non-negotiable. National security first, BRICS must not become a platform where terror is selectively ignored. Impact of other countries here would be some states will try to dilute language to protect their regional allies. Global politics often tries to contextualize terrorism. India must reject that. India's action should be push measurable counter-terror operations, financing networks, digital extremism, intelligence sharing frameworks, link counterterrorism with civil safety and development because instability hits the global south hardest, maintain India's position, dialogue for conflicts, but zero tolerance on terror. There is no good terrorist or bad terrorist, there is only terrorism. Now, let's talk honestly as a geopolitical analyst. The 2025 BRICS summit happened amid global tensions and trade frictions, and major media noted debates around tariffs, Middle East tensions, and internal cohesion challenges as BRICS expands. India's strategy must be keep BRICS pro development, not anti anyone. Keep BRICS multipolar, not China centric. Keep BRICS deliverable, not declaratory. That's how you protect India's strategic autonomy. Let me give you three concrete things India should target. Now, outcome 1, BRICS delivery dashboard plus upgraded working methods. If BRICS cannot execute, it loses credibility. The Rio Declaration itself calls for refining practices and updating terms of reference. India should finish that job. Outcome 2, a payments pilot, trade facilitation package, pragmatic, not dramatic. Build usable rails, lower cost, reduce vulnerabilities, but keep it compliant and confidence friendly. Brazil's chair already put payments local currencies on the table. India should move it from concept to pilots. Outcome 3, a BRICS critical minerals plus AI trust twin initiative. One protects India's industrial future, one protects India's digital future. Modi's own framing on critical minerals and responsible AI gives India the mandate. Now, India's BRICS Presidency 2026 is not about headlines. It's about turning multipolarity into measurable benefits for Indians in terms of jobs, resilience, technology access, and strategic autonomy. If you want BRICS to matter for India, then India must lead it in Indian way. Calm, confident, consensus driven, and outcome focused. If this breakdown helped you, like the video, subscribe, and comment which agenda item do you think is India's toughest battle, payments, critical minerals, or global governance reform. Jai Hind, thanks for watching this one. See you in the next.